And last but not least, I'd like to introduce a surprise PechaKucha from Christophe Egret, who is responsible for some of the best surfaces in London. Thanks.
Good evening. I'm going to tell you the story about our new library in Clapham, which I'm going to do through some of the sketches that I did during the design of it. The Clapham Library is actually what's called a PPP, a public-private partnership, in the sense that Lambeth donated the site, which was the Mary Seacole House, which you see on the screen, which was an 11-story office block that had actually all the things that I don't like about architecture, sort of repetitive block that had no malleability and was not giving very much to the high street. So that was the first sketch that we created, which was really about breaking down the mass and working with Cathedral, the developers, to create a library, a health center, and 136 flats above that to pay for the library. And one of the mass of the building was actually twice in volume as big as Mary Seacole House. And so by playing with fragmentation, aggregation, and terracing, we were able to create amenity spaces on the roof, as well as a very transparent, or as transparent as possible, library at ground level. And very much, libraries are one of the last bastions of public facilities where you don't have to pay money to be in a space. And one of the kind of the eureka moment was the spiral, because the spiral allowed us to contain a really complex brief of teaching facilities, books, cafes, private rooms, all in a very comprehensive, clear space. And within that spiral, the sort of not quite logical thing was to put the noisy children in the center of that. And it's turned out to be quite a wonderful thing, in the sense that you have the noise and the excitement of it. And then we disguise the spiral on the outside with a series of apertures that are geometrical and so don't allow you to kind of be in like a Shakespearean theater where you're looking through windows down into the central space. And through the evolution of the design, we kind of cut the apertures like windows on an outside building, because the central space was in fact like a public space that is covered, like a piazza, outdoor piazza in a hot climate. And the spiral is clad with books. The material of our building is actually the books, and they have great qualities in the sense that they have acoustic qualities, and you don't have to. You find your way by just going to the very top of the building and then winding down to the whole space. And that was the sketch of the space with the children at the center, the books on the outside, hidden spaces like alcoves even further in, and then a sort of cubist clouds on the ceiling of the main space. And you see on the left a picture of the space itself, sort of mimicking the outdoor, the curve, the inner curve of the outdoor curve of the buildings on the right, which is the facade of the building, which is clad in white bricks. Sorry, Don. White concrete split-face bricks. To make sure that people come to the library, we put a cafe inside, which is a sort of a magnet, and as well as a cafe, there is a health center. And the health center, the cafe and the library share the same entrance. And this was the sketch imagining how these objects behind the glass elevation would sort of entice you inside the library and really make it truly public. The health center and the library worked together in creating the footfall. And those big letters were then given to Andrew Logan to animate with objects that people from Clapham had chosen and given, and he organized them in different sets of colors from the rainbow, making mirror transparent on the outside and then color on the inside. And it was really magical because children would just immediately gravitate to them and look at all the objects, and it became a sort of a token of the strength of their community. Very much the whole project was about trying to avoid any partition walls. Everything is about objects within spaces. The reason is that it helps to, when you enter a space like that, you can understand the space, you can find your way, you don't have to be told to go on the second floor or the third floor and the second door on the right. And that's the central space. The central space has a sort of a cross in the center which holds a children's book, which can then be folded and disappear. And the main light from the high street comes into the main space. And what is lovely is that the library is not just a library. It would be terribly sad if it was just a silent place for books. It's actually after 6 o'clock or early in the morning. It's a place where jazz concerts, theater plays, lectures take place. And so it has become one of the center of Clapham High Street. And this is the one of the final slides. The white facade in white allowed to reflect as much light as possible. The windows are made of stainless steel, which capture the headlights and the other lights of the high street, and making it a sort of kinetic structure. And then finally, sort of in the landscape of London, quite a large building, which actually, with its sort of different structures, doesn't feel imposing. Thank you very much.